frankly, we have been seeing that to some extent or the other. We've been seeing this uproar. Many people say that India suddenly seems to be becoming a slightly more chaotic place. There's been these middle-class movements on the streets. You've had actually the Chief Minister of Delhi literally on the streets, sleeping on the side of his car in just the last few days. So is that the call to action that he's talking about? Is there a bit more chaos that's coming in?
I hope not. I hope he is not advocating the chaos that we are seeing in Delhi today. That's not a call to action. Somebody sent me an SMS. They said, Vishnu told Arjun, go do your dharma. But he told Kejriwal, go do your dharna. That's not governance. That's abdicating governance. If you don't know how to govern, quit. You can't mask your...
But his government is supported by your party.
Well, as I said before I left India, opinion in the party was divided. The local unit took that decision, right or wrong. The point is, whoever is in government must govern. You can't mask your inability to govern by street agitations. The line that divides agitation and anarchy is a very thin line. And they may have crossed that line in the last few days.
So as we head for the 2014 election, in a sense you have got the Congress facing the challenges, and the Congress has almost been off the headlines, if you like, for a period of time anyway, because at one hand you have a person who's a challenger, Narendra Modi, and people are saying he's coming and he's leading the BJP forward, and then you have the Aam Aadmi Party grabbing headlines for other reasons.
You guys write the headlines, we don't.
I knew that you'd come down to the media at some point.
No, you talked about headlines. I don't write the headlines. I don't tell you what should your lead story be in your 8 o'clock broadcast. I don't tell the editor of the newspaper what the front page story should be. I think the media tends to write off parties. Media tends to prematurely celebrate parties, but that's the right of the media. I think it's too early to call what the next elections will be. There's still 2.5 months. Much can change. I admit that the Congress party appears to be the underdog today, but I think it's good to go into an election as an underdog rather than in a triumphal mood.
Okay. I just wanted to ask what are the stakes in this election?
One thing I can say, I'm a keen political observer. I've watched things. I think we have changed the leaf here. We have turned the page decisively in India. There's no question about that. For me, Aam Aadmi is nothing but an expression of people's disillusionment with the current political system. So it's an expression. I leave the other part of government, because I don't want to comment on that. The fact is, politics has become suddenly much more accountable. People who wish to be in government, in leadership roles, need to now know that they are going to be held accountable. So I would say some of the politicians need to be worried, because society, people are going to seek accountability. Now, what happens in the next election is, as Mr. Chidambaram said, it's hard to predict. It's one of the most difficult elections to predict, I would say. It is going to be one of the most interesting elections from an observer point of view after 1977, I would say. Jury's out. 2.5 months is a long time in politics. Let's see where it goes.
Okay. Are you at all, Jeremy, keeping the elections in mind when you're making your investment decisions in India, or no?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it's a big topic for international investors. For India to fulfill its potential, you need two things. You need domestic confidence. So everyone watching this needs to feel more confident about the future, but international investors, because you're going to need the capital to grow as fast as you should grow. So I was very positive about the things in India, but I think everyone recognizes if things can happen a little faster and the rules of the road are clearer, that will help.
Okay. Nikesh?
I guess we have a tendency to overestimate the short term and underestimate the long term. I think, yes, the elections are important, but I still believe in the long term India will fulfill its potential of growth. So these are all temporary things that are going to happen in the way, which I'm sure the domestic market will resolve. So we are long term bullish on the market. We continue to invest.
So for Google, it doesn't really matter who's forming the government to that extent.
I suspect there's a lot of people in the country who will make sure they will keep the government accountable. And if they keep them accountable for the interest of the user, we'll be fine.
Okay. Tom?
There are two reasons that I'm optimistic about India in the long term. The first is, I think we're heading for a world, as the world gets hyper-connected, where literally in our lifetimes, everyone in the world will be online. We'll have a network connection. So this thing called the digital divide, I think, is going to be in our rear view mirror. Now, when that happens, the futurist Marina Gorbis taught me this. The biggest divide in the world, once everyone's on the network, is going to be the motivational divide. And I think India's culture of education, prizing education, is going to be a real asset for that. But it's got to fulfill that aspiration by delivering the infrastructure for education for its people. The online MOOCs, I think, are going to give an enormous opportunity there. Now, whenever I go to India, and every time I go, I do the same thing. I call NASSCOM, the Indian High Tech Association. I say, get me together with your 7, 8 best young entrepreneurs. And I do this every year I go. And here's what I've really found exciting and fascinating, is that what I now see is young Indian entrepreneurs leveraging all this technology, not to solve our problems, but to solve their problems.